Hello everyone, we are back at the law offices of Cameron Yadidi here in Sherman Oaks, and I'm so happy to be sitting here with this man, a man who is so very highly respected and in demand in the personal injury world, and he has won so many, tens of thousands of cases, over $100 million in settlements for his clients, and not only an attorney but also an advocate. So I'm very happy to talk with him today a little bit more about personal injury, and I do want to add that not only is his office and he himself in the top 5% of trial attorneys in the state. In 2015 they were named in the top 1% litigation award of the year. Congratulations, Cameron, and how are you?
Thank you for being here. Hello everyone, and welcome to our office.
Yes.
And thank you very much. Yes, we have received the 2015 Litigation Award that basically gets offered to top 1% of lawyers in the United States. And we're very happy, honored, and owe it to all the people who have used our services and made us be who we are today.
It's a huge accomplishment, again, and well deserved. I mean, I'm not really surprised. Honestly, when I heard it earlier, I was like, okay, yeah, I expected that.
Just another award, huh?
Just another award for him. Yeah, okay. And it is, I mean, the United States, we have a pretty big country, so to be in the top 1% is pretty amazing.
When we got nominated for it, we were pretty shocked because this litigation award is offered to top 1% of lawyers in the United States, in the nation they call it.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
And you know, we're happy to receive it, and we offer it to you, all of you out there, and we think you deserve it more than we do, because you're the people who have actually been injured and let us really help you out through the legal process and be able to get you where you want it to be.
Yourself and your wonderful team of attorneys here that you all work together, it's really incredible. So again, congratulations. And I know that in the day in and day out of your battles, you know, that you go through for each and every one of your clients, I know we've talked about personal injury, the soft and serious tissue type, you know, injuries and all these other things, and we'll definitely get into those again later, but a big part of your battle is with those insurance companies. The big bad insurance companies that, you know, have oftentimes intimidated clients, you know, and maybe had their way with them, and people have succumbed to their ways, and you are out there fighting against these insurance companies. There are such things as policy limits, you know, and these different things. So if you could maybe shed a little light as far as, you know, what all of that entails, the insurance world, and what our viewers should know about all that.
Well, as we know, insurance companies are largest corporations and companies in the United States, and they are in business of making money. And how do they make the money? They charge people for premiums, and their job is not to pay you back the premium they've collected. Unless you force them to pay it or reason with them, that's why they have to pay for it. But what insurance contract means is a set of obligations and standards and terms that has been contracted between you and your insurance company, and what those contracts entail is that insurance companies have certain duties and responsibility based on the amount of money you have paid them. So there's something called policy limits. That's one of the things that everyone's talking about. Policy limits. What is policy limits? And I'd like to talk about that today. When you go pay an insurance company a certain amount of money, you buying certain amount of insurance, and that insurance is the risk that the insurance company is actually selling you. They're taking away that risk from you and your life to the amount that you have purchased. So if an average person buys a $100,000 policy, that means if you get sued, the insurance company would be responsible up to $100,000 to protect you and your family or people in your car if you're found to be at fault. There are different limits under each insurance policy. One is called liability insurance. The other one is called uninsured motorist. The other one is comprehensive and collision. The other one is med pay, and so on and so forth. Each one item is the item that you're paying for. And the insurance company, by charging you that premium, is basically saying, we're taking the risk away from you. So if you're driving and let's say you hit somebody else's car and that car is damaged and that person is injured, up to the limit of your policy, insurance company will pay out if they think it's fair and just to be paid. So what goes on, a lot of people, because the state dictates that you only need to buy a minimum amount of insurance, which is called $15,000 insurance in California.
Is that the 1550?
1530 policies, right?
Right.
Which means $15,000 per person and $30,000 for the entire amount of the accident that they're obligated to pay.
Right.
And 60 to 65% of people out in California, they have those kind of insurances. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's what they could afford, and that's what
Now,
they
that's
buy.
like the limit, basically,
That's
that
the
you
minimum
have
limit for you to
that you
drive.
have to have,
Right.
yeah, at least.
But as far as when the injury cases come to my office, first thing we want to do is find out the person you had an accident with, how much insurance do they have?
Right.
Why am I saying that? Because it's very important. As if I tell you, please come to my home tonight for dinner.
Right.
And I say goodbye, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, okay, I'm invited to Cameron Yadidi's house for dinner, but how do I get there? You don't
Right.
have the address.
Right.
And you'll be lost all over town to find me, and you probably won't be able to find me.
Probably not.
Because I haven't given you the address. So insurance policy limits is the address of each case.
Right.
We first look into, the person who's in charge of this accident, who's at fault for the accident causing the injuries to our client, how much insurance do they have?
Right. What do you
And-
have to work with in
Exactly,
a sense?
because
Okay.
we don't want people to go and build up a lot of medical bills
Sure.
and then end up with nothing in their pocket
Right.
and having to pay all the doctors because the other party does not have insurance policy.
Sure, sure.
But if the other side has a large insurance policy, we know that we can leave the door open to our clients to receive all the medical treatments and care and specialties that they
You
need.
have a little more playroom there, at least.
A lot of
Yeah,
playroom.
right.
So based on the available insurance policy from the other side, we strategize the case for the benefit of the client. Now,
Sure.
as I said before, a lot of people only have 15, 30 policies.
Yeah, that's not a lot of room.
No, it's not a lot of
No.
room. So insurance industry has come up with something called uninsured motorist.
Right.
And that is you buy insurance for yourself and people in your car. That if the other party that you are having an accident with does not have enough insurance, you could use your own insurance less the other party's insurance. For example,
Okay.
let's say I have an accident with you,
Okay.
and your car has a 1530 policy,
Okay.
and my car has an uninsured motorist of 100, 300.
Okay.
So I'm injured, and you're at fault.
Right.
What will happen is I send a demand to your insurance company, say pay me the 15,000,
Okay.
and your insurance company would say, please take our money and leave us alone.
Yeah.
They want to get out of it right away,
Right,
right?
sure,
So they'll
sure.
pay you the 15. Now, because I received 15,000 from your insurance,
Okay.
we'll deduct that from my $100,000 uninsured motorist policy. So I
Okay.
have another $85,000 that I have purchased additional insurance for you.
Okay.
That is called uninsured motorist because you are
Interesting.
uninsured or underinsured. And then I can go get a benefit of the other 85,000, and the total claim or total insurance available for that accident will become $100,000. So
Okay.
it is very important the things that we do here, because first thing we know is a lot of people call us and say, we have an accident with another lawyer. And
Oh boy.
we don't know what to do because the attorney is not telling us
Sure.
what we could do, what doctors we could see, how much insurance they have. We don't know where we are. They're lost.
Yeah.
And I say, why wouldn't your attorney be able to get that? Well, because the insurance company does not tell them how much insurance they have. The insurance companies are not obligated to tell your attorney how much insurance they have. You know that?
Wow. No, I did not. You would
If
think.
you ask them, hey, how much insurance your person has under the policy, they say, we can't tell you until we go get an authorization. And 9 out of 10 times, their person says, don't tell them how much insurance I have. I don't want them to know
And
that.
the authorization is not from the client; it's from their people.
From their client, from the people
Goodness.
who we're suing. Therefore,
Shocking.
it makes our job much more difficult. But law firms like us, we have our own ways of finding the insurance policies
Okay.
without asking them for permission.
Convenient.
Very much so. And thank you. We have a lot of tools under our fingers and we know what to do with it. But
20 years, I'm telling you.
so it is important,
Sure.
especially in serious injury cases. It is very crucial. I had a case
Right.
about. It's funny that not always you can trust the insurance adjusters either.
Oh, I
Sometimes
bet.
they tell you stuff that are not true.
Oh gosh.
I had a case about about 3 years ago, where a young man was really hurt,
Okay.
and he really needed to have a back surgery. So I contacted the adjuster and I said, how much insurance do you have? At first he played the game. I don't know. I'm going to ask whether or not I can release it to
Of course.
you. I said, you know what? My client really needs the surgery. He said, well, I can tell you I have $100,000 insurance.
Okay.
It didn't sound right. And I'll tell you why. Because the person who had an accident with my client was living in Beverly Hills, driving a nice Porsche, and had a
Sure.
great job, and with a 100,000 policy, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I didn't trust the adjuster.
No.
I went ahead and had my client do the surgery. I filed a lawsuit, and in the interim of lawsuit, we found out that not only the guy had a 500,000 policy, but he also had $1 million umbrella.
Unbelievable.
So there was 1.5 million available for my client that after the back surgery, long story short, about 2 weeks ago, we settled the case for $1.5 million on behalf of our client. It's a younger client.
They weren't going to just hand you that information now,
well,
were they?
exactly. They really fought us, tooth and nail. And
Oh, I bet.
we had to do what we had to do to be able to get the right amount of money out of these people. I mean, we had to go to 3 mediations before these people could really
Wow.
balance it out. But what we do, the talent of our job is to put the insurance companies under real pressure. Because one thing that insurance companies hate is to really get hit in court with a judgment more than the policy limit that they have sold.
Okay.
So here's the catch.
Right. I want to know.
Yeah. If I ask your insurance company who's at fault
Okay.
to pay me the amount of money, the insurance that you have because you're at fault for the accident, and I give them all the documents, and I give them sufficient amount of time for them to do the investigation and depositions and do whatever they got to do. If they still come back and say, I'm not going to pay you all the money I have now, and we decide to go to trial, we go to court, and let's say you have a 500,000 policy. They say, I'm not paying you, Mr. Yadidi, the 500,000. We're going to go to court. So we go to court, and let's assume that I hit a judgment for $2 million.
Okay.
Guess who's got to pay? The insurance company has to pay the $2 million. Not the person who bought the insurance, but the insurance company,
insurance
because
company
they had a
themselves.
duty to protect their insured under their policy. And by their failure to actually pay the policy limit when demanded, they open the policy. That means if I go to trial and I get a judgment, they're going to have to pay. Because if they don't pay, the person who purchased an insurance from them will come back and sue their own insurance to say,
Okay.
hey,
You
why
didn't-
didn't you pay them when you had a chance to do
Right.
it? And now they're coming after me for more money. So insurance company does not want to get double sued by their own insured and by the person
So
who's
if you're
injured.
aware of this, then it's a win-win for us, for example,
Well,
and for them.
It's
If,
very strategic.
sure, I bet.
It's very strategic
I bet.
because you cannot just throw letters out. You have to make sure that you give enough to insurance companies to be able to really hang their hat on. Because insurance companies, once again, don't want to go to trial against good lawyers. They
Sure.
just don't want to do that. It's a big risk for them.
Naturally.
And they want to settle. So when they see the risk, the exposure, for instance, in that case we just talked about, the $1.5 million, we had an expert that said this young man is going to be disabled for life, even though he's walking, he's running, he's
But
doing his daily,
still.
but he still has this disability to his back that he won't be able to play soccer as he used to.
Right.
He won't be able to swim as he used
His
to. He
life's
won't be able
changed.
to. Oh,
Sure,
totally.
sure.
So this disability expert talking about the arthritis that this young man
Okay.
will have in the future and possible nursing he's going to need and possible future surgeries,
Right.
just in and of itself brought the case up to 3 million status. So when I demanded 3 million at mediation, the second mediation we went to, everybody shook up. 3, we only have 1.5. I said the demand is 3.
Right.
So they ended up begging me to take their 1.5 because
I like
and that's
that,
the
begging.
same case that the adjuster wanted to tell us that they only have 100,000 policy.
Isn't that something?
Well, you know what? You cannot really rely upon what they're telling you. It has to be on paper. It has to be verified. It has to be signed, and you got to see documents. A lot of times, when we demand the policy from insurance companies, we ask them subject to production of the copy of your policy to us.
Right. Okay.
What that means is they have to give us a copy. Otherwise, I won't settle.
Sure.
Because, well, I don't want them to lie.
No.
So
No, of course not.
insurance companies are not to be trusted.
No. Never.
We need them, we pay them, we want them,
Right.
but not to trust
But when
them.
it comes down to it.
when it comes down to it,
Right.
they're in the business of not paying you and
Absolutely.
collecting their premiums.
Naturally, it's their business. It's the
Right.
nature of their beast. So, yeah.
It is. But for you people out there, please be aware that one of the things that we really want you to be aware of is don't buy regular insurance, especially if you have
Right.
houses, businesses, cash, assets. We, or us lawyers, we have a computer.
Okay.
And as soon as we put your name in there,
Yee.
I can know everything about you. I will know your social security, your businesses, your corporation, your trust, your house. I will figure out everything about you. And if I see that you have money and you're underinsured, that means you just bought a regular insurance or not enough insurance to cover my client's damages, you will be risking your assets, your properties, your life savings.
Sure.
Because if my client is seriously injured, my job is to go get the last dollars. And your insurance company will not protect you more than what the insurance policy is or what the amount of insurance may be on your policy limit. So go buy proper insurance. If you own a house, buy umbrella insurance policies and make sure you're covered above and beyond your standard car insurance policies that
and
you
the
may
standard,
have.
the minimum. In fact, we worked so hard for all that we have. And when we come back, we're going to take a little break and we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics to look into when maybe buying insurance and looking into that and the kind of coverage that we should be looking at and certain things that we should look out for.
Look forward to it.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
And we're back here with Mr. Yadidi, and we've been talking about the insurance companies and the nature of their beast, and that they don't want to pay, obviously, naturally, and policy limits and things of that sort. And I'm sure our viewers are now wondering, okay, so maybe I want to change to a new policy. Maybe I want to revisit the policy that I currently have. What should I be looking for to make sure that I am covered in the event of any kind of personal injury, whether it's on the client or somebody else? So what is it that we should be looking for? The uninsured motorist, the med pay, you mentioned a few things like that. So
well, let's go back to the basics for your viewers to understand.
Yes.
I am a personal injury lawyer for the last 20 years, and we are rated as one of the top. So what happens is when there's accidents involving vehicles, motorcycles, slip and falls, construction accident, dog attacks, anything that there's an accident and somebody gets injured, we come into the picture.
Okay.
Now, the suggestions I'm giving you right now is as if tomorrow I'm coming and suing you for something that had happened to my client.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a free advice to protect yourself and your family, if you want to. You don't have to. You can risk your assets, but if you want to. The way you have to look into purchasing an insurance is first look into, if I get sued tomorrow, how much can they collect from me?
Right.
How much can these people get out of my property, my assets, my business, my cash in the bank?
Sometimes everything.
Right. So if you run somebody over, and I always tell people, look into if you run somebody over and that person is disabled for life, that means you're going to have to pay for it. So you have to buy insurance enough to protect your assets. But I always suggest for people to look into their home, assets they have, and I say not only you buy a regular car insurance, regular homeowners insurance, but also create an umbrella for everything. That if you get sued above and beyond your insurance that you bought for your car, this umbrella is like something that covers you and your family.
Right.
Problems we see with the insurance policy is that people try to be smart. And people don't disclose the people who are driving their cars, but they're living with them in the same household.
Right.
Now, if insurance finds out that you have lied to them at the time of policy, they could come and say, sorry, you have no coverage.
Yikes.
So when your child or your children go into the age that they're driving, make sure you include them in your policy. Unless you tell them, get out of my home, you're not living with me anymore. You change their driver's license, their bank account, their school ID, everything showing that they're living with somebody else and they're not living with you. Because if they live with somebody else and not living at home with you, they could potentially come and borrow the car from you.
Right.
But since they're not living with you, they're automatically covered under your policy.
Uninsured.
So you don't have to mention them under the policy name.
And you can't switch drivers
company.
either, okay? Like you can't switch
Don't
drivers and tell them it was you.
Stuff. No, we don't do that.
We don't need that.
No.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of cases where people just get married per se.
Okay.
A husband has his own policy, the wife has her own policy, and they have two separate cars. They get married, they move in together, they start using each other's car.
Right.
Guess what? You're not covered under each other's policy unless you are on each other's policy.
Wow.
So we see that. Children who got their driver's license did not get added to the parents' policy. That's another problem that we see. Because people don't know. Or people say, we'll do it next week. Oh, we'll do it next week. And next week, that's when the accident happens.
Sure.
And if at the time of the accident you don't have the proper policy, you lose.
Right.
That means you're personally obligated. Now, with all these problems I just told you, we, injured people, or my clients, would have to think of themselves that there are places like that out there, problems like that out there, that the insurance companies want to say, sorry, no coverage.
Right.
Why don't you go and buy yourself some insurance, just in case it happens?
Right.
Now, I've already been talking about uninsured motorists, but
Yes.
here's something that a lot of lawyers don't know. When you buy an umbrella on your house or your car, make sure that umbrella has an uninsured motorist coverage under it, because 90% of umbrella policies don't have that.
Wow. And here's
There's
something
only
we didn't
10% of the umbrella policies that have uninsured motorists in there. So what happens? Just like a case I had about a year ago, my client had an accident with somebody. That person had a $100,000 policy, but my client's injuries were substantial. He had $250,000 uninsured on his car, and he had $1 million umbrella, but that umbrella had uninsured into it.
Okay.
So we ended up getting $1.2 million for the client because of all these policies available to him.
Interesting.
So buy as much uninsured motor as you can buy for yourself and your family members. Now, here's a nice thing about uninsured motorists. Assume that you're walking in the street,
Okay.
and assume there's a car that came and ran you over.
It happened to my good friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the car runs you over, and assume the car either does not have insurance, the car does a hit and run,
And hers didn't.
Right.
This was a real case.
and or the car has a minimum policy.
Right.
And your injuries are severe, substantial.
Hers were. Yes.
Right. So what do? If you have uninsured motorist on the vehicle that you have in your household,
Okay.
even though you're not in the car, even though you're not driving,
Okay.
the uninsured motorist of your vehicle will cover you and your family members if they have an accident as a pedestrian, as a bicycle rider.
Wow.
Right.
I
These are
had
the
no
beautiful
idea.
things about the uninsured motorist that you can actually utilize and take advantage of. Therefore, talk to a good insurance agent. We're not insurance agents, and we don't, we're
not
after people to make sure my clients get compensated.
Right.
I mean, I'm a
Fairly.
personal injury lawyer, and I'm the attacker. I'm
Right.
the bad guy who comes and attacks. So
For insurance companies, anyway.
right, not for clients. And thank you for saying that.
Sure.
My last intent is to go after people's home and assets.
That's.
I don't do that. I
Right.
have done it once, and I have never done that again. I mean, I'm the type of lawyer, I hate to see families and children to be homeless.
Absolutely.
I don't do that. But don't cause other lawyers to do it for you. Go get insurance,
Yes.
proper insurance, and make sure you don't risk it. So yeah, the intent is really not you people to go after, or your family members, your household. No.
Sure.
The intent is to protect you and make sure the insurance companies are the one that we're going after.
Right. You have to protect yourselves too. This isn't just for and in case somebody else is hurt. So you're not just protecting yourselves, your families, but your assets that you've worked so hard. And I know through your
Right.
years of hard work, you understand and appreciate that people have these things and they want to hold on to them. And so one little detail such as that umbrella policy or that uninsured motorist policy right there is a big difference that
Right.
it can make in the end. So thank you so much, Cameron.
Thank you for
your
being here
time.
today. I appreciate it.
I learned
and
so much with you every time.
Hey, you know what? You can just move in here.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to put in a job application here.
Anytime.
But it's really been wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for the information on insurance policies, which is such a big part of the ultimate battle, that you fight for your clients. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back more with Cameron Yadidi at his wonderful office here in Sherman Oaks, with other offices, a new one in Glendale. And you can go on legaldefenders.com and get more information. And until we meet next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.